Okay, sorry. I accidentally ended that last one really early because I forgot if you close the tab you're recording in, then it just ends the recording instead of going to a new tab. Which is annoying, and I don't care enough about these videos to splice them together because that just means more time editing. And I am going for zero editing because it's easy to not edit. Anyway, so we've got all these different kinds of fore and aft rigged sails: stay sails, Bermuda rigged, gaff sails, Gunter, lateen, lug sails. Was lug sail the kind? No. Tanja sails. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Spanker sail, square rig, and crab claw sails. Cool. Fore and aft rigs include rigs with one mast, the proa. Okay, the catboat. Ooh, my mother had a painting of this in our house. She had that picture growing up. The sloop and the cutter. Cool. Rigs with two masts, the ketch and the yawl. Rigs with two or more masts, the schooner. So many types of boats. Barques and barkentines are partially square rigged and partially fore aft rigged. A rig which combines both a rig which combines both on a foremast is known as a hermaphrodite. What? Hermaphroditic? Hermaphroditic. Known as a hermaphroditic rig. Okay. History: in Austronesia, the fore and aft rig is believed to have been first developed independently by the Austronesian peoples sometime around 1500 BC with the invention of the crab claw sail. It is suggested that it evolved from a more primitive V-shaped square sail with two spars that come together at the hull. Crab claw sails spread from maritime Southeast Asia to Micronesia, island Melanesia, Polynesia, and Madagascar via the Austronesian migrations. Austronesians in Southeast Asia also later developed other types of fore-aft sails, such as the tanja sail, tanja, also known as the canted square sail, canted rectangular sail, or the balanced lug sail. Their use later spread into the Indian Ocean since the first millennium among vessels from the Middle East, South Asia, and China. Cool. Europe. The square rig had predominated in Europe since the dawn of sea travel, but in the generally gentle climate of southern Europe and the Mediterranean Sea during the last few centuries before the Renaissance, the fore and aft began to replace it. Okay, that was a weird feeling sentence. Square rig was big in Europe up until the last few centuries before the Renaissance when the fore and aft sail replaced it. By 1475, its use increased, and within 100 years, the fore and aft rig was in common use on rivers and estuaries in Britain, northern France, and the Low Countries, though the square rig remained standard for the harsher conditions of the open North Sea, as well as for transatlantic sailing. The triangular lateen sail was more maneuverable and speedier, while the square rig was labor-intense but seaworthy. Okay, Latin. I don't know. So yeah, we already saw this cool little Micronesian wa, a gaff-rigged schooner FEM Morrissey. Schooners are so pretty. His dong is showing. The earliest European fore and aft rigs appeared in the form of sprite sails in Greco-Roman navigation. Nasa's carving of a 3rd century AD Roman merchant ship. One of the ships in Borobudur, depicting a double outrigger vessel with fore and aft tanja sails on tripod masts. Okay. It's a little harder to see. But I guess, like, here's the outrigger. Outrigger, right? Double outrigger. I need to stop saying outrigger. But there was this game for the Sega Dreamcast that I used to play called Outrigger. I'm pretty sure. And like there was a voice that announced it and said Outrigger. Okay, yeah. You see, this one is actually spelled with two T's, so it definitely could be out trigger. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Meanwhile, these boats are out rigger. That makes sense. Cool. So that's that. Where were we? The bark. A bark. Gotcha. The fore and aft rig. Yeah, a bark is a type of sailing vessel with three or more masts and main masts rigged square and only the mizzen, the aftmost mast. I wonder if that's mizzen or midzen or midzen. Sometimes the mizzen is only partly fore and aft rigged, bearing a square rigged sail above. The word bark entered French. The word bark, etymology here, entered English via the French term, which in turn came from the Latin barca by way of Occitan, Catalan, Spanish, or Italian. Sorry, I'm remarkably distracted right now. It's because I'm like thinking in the background as I talk. I'm just like autopilot talking or reading, but actually thinking about my day, the rest of my mental space. I don't know. I need to get out and do something because I'm realizing I have places I have to be in like 2 hours, but I have things I want to do before that. The Latin barca may stem from Celtic bark per Thurnison, which I guess is a person, historian, a linguist, or Greek baris, a term for an Egyptian boat. The Oxford English Dictionary, however, considers the latter improbable. The word bark appears to have come from Celtic languages. The form adopted by English, perhaps from Irish, was bark, while that adopted by Latin was barca very early, which gave rise to the French barge and barque. In Latin, Spanish, and Italian, the term barca refers to a small boat, not a full-sized ship. French influence in England led to the use in English of both words, although their meanings now are not the same. Well before the 19th century, a barge had become interpreted as a small vessel of coastal or inland waters, or a fast rowing boat carried by warships and normally reserved for the commanding officer. Somewhat later, a bark became a sailing vessel with a distinctive rig as detailed below. In Britain, by the mid 19th century, the spelling had taken on the French form of bark, although Francis Bacon used this form of the word as early as 1592. Shakespeare still used the spelling barca in Sonnet 116 in 1609. Throughout the period of sail, the word was used also as a shortening of the barca longa of the Mediterranean Sea. The usual spelling convention is that, to distinguish between homophones, when spelled as bark with a QUE, it refers to a ship, and when spelled as bark with a K, it refers to either a sound or to a tree hide. Barcarole, in music shares the same etymology, being originally a folk song sung by Venetian gondolier and derived just by Venetian gondolier, not a Venetian gondolier. Okay. And derived from barca, boat, in Italian or late Latin. Bark with a K. In the 18th century, the Royal Navy used the term bark for a nondescript vessel that did not fit any of its usual categories. Thus, when the British admiral, why can I not say that? Admiralty purchased a collier for use by James Cook in his journey of exploration, she was registered as H.M. Bark Endeavour to distinguish her from another Endeavour, a sloop already in service at the time. She happened to be a full-rigged ship with a plain bluff bow and a full stern with windows. H.M. Bark Endeavour. Oh, what a distant picture. A sloop. William Falconer's Dictionary of the Marine. I cannot read today. I don't know what's going on. Do I have it in me to finish this? I'm just too distracted. Yeah. Let me just read a little more. We'll get through this. We'll get through this article, darn it. William Faulkner's Dictionary of the Marine defined barque as a general name given to small ships. It is, however, peculiarly appropriated by seamen to those which carry three masts with a mizzen topsail. Which carry three masts without a mizzen topsail. Our northern mariners, who are trained in the coal trade, apply this distinction to a broad-sterned ship, which carries no ornamental figure on the stem or prow. The UK National Archives state that a paper document surviving from the 16th century in the Cheshire and Chester Archives and Local Studies Service notes the names of Robert Radcliffe, owner of the Barque Sunday, and 10 mariners appointed to serve under RT. Okay, you know what? I cannot focus.